Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin, check. You already know. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Blue today, everybody. This is a college football channel. So if you like college football, hit the like and subscribe button. It's that simple. Also, send gear to represent your team and be a part of my background forever. All you have to do is send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. Today, I'm taking my grandpa to the dentist, and so I decided to do a video while waiting on him. Sometimes you just gotta fit in these videos wherever you can. Some of these car videos are actually pretty good. Some of them do flop, I admit, so I will let you be the judge and decide whether this is a good one or a bad one. And I was really going back and forth a lot as to whether I should do this video or not, and finally I got the nerve today to finally do this video. I've been wanting to do this video for about 3 or 4 days now, and it's just something that I think needed to be done. And some West Virginia fans are gonna be mad at me for this. They're gonna be mad at me for this for sure. And I'll probably never get West Virginia media credentials because of this very video. But that's okay. I have to get this off my chest, and I have to make a video about it. So I've been thinking, and you know, whenever the Shane Lyons firing finally happened, I was like, yes. Gordon Gee finally saw that Shane Lyons was not going to fire Neal Brown, so he had to get rid of Shane Lyons in order for him to be able to fire Neal Brown. Turns out that actually might not be the case. In fact, Neal Brown might get another year here at West Virginia, according to a lot of sources that I've talked to. So I was like, well then why did we fire Shane Lyons? He was going to keep Neal Brown anyways. And a lot of what people told me was that Shane Lyons was in too tight with the NCAA and was penny pinching for West Virginia and not spending the money that we could have been spending on good assistants. And whenever they said that, I had an aha moment. A lot of this nonsense makes sense if you take that statement into consideration. What do I mean by that? Well, I've been harping on Neal Brown for the past 3 years. Why can't we get a decent offensive coordinator? We have a terrible offense year after year after year, and this year we finally got a decent offensive coordinator in Graham Harrell. Well, if you factor in that statement I just said where Shane Lyons was a penny pincher, wasn't spending as much money as he could on the coaching staff, that could be the reason why Neal Brown couldn't go out and get an offensive coordinator that he needed. Shane Lyons wouldn't give him the budget to do so. Same thing with the defense. I mean, ever since Jordan Leslie was promoted to the defensive coordinator, our defense has slid down. Last year, it took a step back down to around the 50s as far as scoring defense. That was tolerable. It was good enough to win some games that we shouldn't have won. This year, we're in the 100s. It's even worse. Factor in the statement that Shane Lyons was penny pinching and not spending the amount of money we could have on the coaching staff. Well, that answers that question as well. On top of that, Brett Yormark, the new Big 12 commissioner, went around and visited every Big 12 member, current and future members, to look at their facilities, and he said West Virginia has one of the best football facilities in the Big 12. So you're telling me that West Virginia can afford one of the best facilities in the Big 12, but we can't afford to pay our head coaches or go out and get a good head coach for more than what we're paying for them right now? If you go back to the Rich Rod days, a lot of people don't realize the real reason why Rich Rod left. The real reason why Rich Rod left was he went and asked for a raise for himself and the assistants. Not a raise that would be competitive to Michigan or anything like that, just enough to keep everybody happy. West Virginia declined, off to Michigan he went. Now here's my opinion. Rich Rod would not have asked for that raise if he knew that West Virginia didn't have the money for that raise. So I think Rich Rod knew that West Virginia had the money for that raise, and that's why he asked for it, and West Virginia should have obliged. Because West Virginia was in the best stretch of glory years we've ever been in. Ever. Even under Don Nehlen. And Don Nehlen is an all-time great head coach. I am not slamming the dude. I am not throwing shade on him. He is a great West Virginia head coach. Probably the best coach we've ever had. But as far as success, under Rich Rod, we had the most success. We should have ponied up the dough to keep him in Morgantown. Now, I didn't like the way he left Morgantown. Left us high and dry for Michigan. No, I didn't like that. But the reason he left Morgantown starting to make more and more sense when you take that statement into consideration. Shane Lyons penny pinching not spending the amount of money he could have on the coaching staff. Now let's be honest, Shane Lyons hasn't been around forever. Shane Lyons wasn't around whenever Rich Rod was the head coach. So this has been going on longer than we realized. Same with Dana Holgorsen. Now, I'm glad that Dana Holgorsen is gone, but Dana Holgorsen asked for a raise from West Virginia. West Virginia said no, so Dana Holgorsen went to Houston. Dana Holgorsen also knew that West Virginia had the money to give him a raise, so he asked for it, but once again, West Virginia said no. Now, I'm glad West Virginia said no to Dana Holgorsen. I didn't think he was a good fit at West Virginia, but it's just another example of what West Virginia University has been doing. And the reason I'm making this video is I'm sick of West Virginia looking up to everybody. Yes, we've had some great years, but it's few and far between. We have to endure some terrible years in between, and then we build up, have a great year, and then another terrible year, then the so-so year. We should be more consistent than that. Answer me this. Why can Kentucky, why can Cincinnati, why can freaking Liberty afford to pay their coaches more than West Virginia can? The fact is, West Virginia could indeed afford to pay their coaches more than what we do right now. But the problem is, for whatever reason, West Virginia wants to penny pinch and try to get by with as less as possible and still remain sustainable and relevant. That's not how it works, West Virginia. That is not how it works. How are we able to keep these great recruits coming into West Virginia under Neal Brown? JT Daniels, a great transfer. NIL is into effect. So we can afford NIL for these recruits and these transfers, but we can't afford to pay our coaches more than what we're paying them, or go out and get a better coach and have to pay that better coach more money than what we're paying Neal Brown. The math doesn't add up, people. West Virginia is being stifled by the higher ups. There is money out there that West Virginia could spend to upgrade the coaching staff, to make West Virginia a powerhouse consistently. I'm not talking like a Georgia powerhouse or an Alabama powerhouse. And to be honest with you, I'm being serious right now. I think West Virginia could afford to pay a head coaching staff $7 to $8 million a year. I think that's the cap. I think that's the tallest. We're not Alabama, we're not Clemson, we're not USC, we're not Texas, but I think $7 million a year is definitely doable for West Virginia. I think West Virginia University has just gotten away with far too long lowballing us, the West Virginia fan base, and we're the ones that support this team loyally. But as of recently, West Virginia has had to endure, especially West Virginia fans, I'm talking about West Virginia fans, have had to endure being the doormat of everybody's jokes because the product on the field looks like garbage, absolute garbage. And so that begs the question, where are all our booster and big donor money going to? We can afford to have one of the best football facilities in the Big 12, but we can't afford to pay our coaches halfway decent money. That money has to go somewhere. That money that's being funneled into the football program is not being used to pay the coaches. You go over to Texas, Alabama, some of these bigger brands, and the boosters and donors, they basically pay for the coaching salary. And I know West Virginia has a ton of big donors and boosters. Where's the rest of that money going to? I started this YouTube channel 3 years ago because I wanted to be a good representative of West Virginia and tell the truth. Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes tough love is needed, and that's what this is right now. This is the truth. This is tough love. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm incorrect. I'm just saying, from everything that I'm seeing, simple logic points to West Virginia doesn't want to pony up the dough that is available to get better coaches and pay our coaches more money to keep them to stay at West Virginia. West Virginia has become a stepping stone unless you hire a group of 5 coach like Neal Brown. Now, if Neal Brown were to have tremendous success at West Virginia, guess what? West Virginia would have been a stepping stone for Neal Brown. His dream job is Kentucky. And yes, Kentucky can afford to pay their coaching staff more than West Virginia. In basketball, I can buy that. They have a much bigger budget than West Virginia in basketball. But in football, I don't think so. Somehow Liberty has a better budget in football than West Virginia? I don't think so. Somehow Cincinnati has a better budget than West Virginia? I don't think so. There are so many teams that West Virginia has had more success than that can afford to pay their coaches more than what West Virginia has been paying their coaches and is currently paying their coaches. Listen, maybe the problem with Neal Brown is West Virginia doesn't want to pony up the dough to get him a Power 5 level coaching staff. Do they not think that West Virginia's a Power 5 school? Wake up, people. West Virginia's a Power 5 school. We should be able to afford a Power 5 coaching staff. That's one factor that I haven't considered until that statement was made. And if this is true, something needs to be done. West Virginia fans are sick of mediocrity, are sick of being the butt of everybody's jokes, are sick of being the doormat of everybody and everybody looking down on us because we're struggling right now. West Virginia is too good of a football program for this to happen. It's time for West Virginia to stop penny pinching and use the money that is available to buy the best coaching staff that we can. That is attainable. I'm not talking about going out and getting Nick Saban. That's not attainable. I'm not talking about going out and getting Dabo Swinney. That's not attainable. But attainable coaches out there that can coach well and have success at West Virginia, they are out there. But West Virginia has got to start being willing to pony up the dough to pay these good coaches. Because if you don't have the money, if you don't pony up the dough, then we're going to get stuck with mediocre coach after mediocre coach after mediocre coach after mediocre coach. We will be stuck in no man's land forever if we don't start ponying up the dough to get a good coaching staff in West Virginia. Right now, West Virginia is not a destination as far as a good head coach goes. Right now, if they do have success at West Virginia, it is a stepping stone. So how in the world, if somehow we do find that diamond in the rough that is willing to accept a $4.5 million deal that turns out to be a great head coach at West Virginia and the bigger boys come a-calling, we don't pony up the dough, how can we ever sustain success? That is the exact reason why we lost Rich Rod. So my question is this a sign that West Virginia is headed in the right direction? Because I am hearing that Gordon Gee fired Shane Lyons because of his penny pinching tendencies and that he was too tight in with the NCAA. Maybe there's a big renaissance headed for West Virginia football. Something big coming to West Virginia football, finally realizing that they need to spend bigger money if we want to have more success on the football field. So maybe there's your light at the end of the tunnel. So y'all let me know in the comments section what you thought about this video. Do you think West Virginia is penny pinching too much? Do you think that they could afford paying their coaches more and go out and get a better coach altogether? And do you think that this firing of Shane Lyons is actually a sign that West Virginia is starting to do things right? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.